What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this 10/29 NBA slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.dgfantasy.com. On dgfantasy.com, we give you cheat sheets for every major sport along with ownership projections, actual projections, and strategy for every single slate. We also cover optimal cash plays as well as preferred GPP plays and stacks for specific contest sizes. We do the dirty work for you. We are also currently partnered with Fantasy Cruncher, the best optimizer in the industry. When signing up for our $30 package, you also get a $20 credit to use towards any Fantasy Cruncher product. We provide the best value in the industry. Now, before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to our brand new partner, Lucre Sports. Lucre is a peer-to-peer gaming platform that allows fans to compete with their friends on player performance across a variety of sports. Wager and smack talk your friends in a fun, approachable way on Lucre Sports. The great part is all you need is $1 to get in on the action. You'll also receive a free $25 play when using code DGF on sign up. Since Lucre is so social, you'll also get a $10 referral bonus for each person you refer on the app. Not only that, in our premium Discord chat, we opened up a Lucre Smack Talk room. There you can see me and TJ wagering on whether DeJounte Murray will get more points than LeBron James, or maybe even some of his Celtics with Jason Tatum. Regardless, his teams are garbage. So guys, I will also post a link in the description if you guys are interested in signing up for Lucre today. And now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 7-game slate on DraftKings. And one thing I mentioned the last video that I'll be doing going forward is going over my previous lineups from last night. Full transparency. Full disclosure on, if I'm going to talk about DFS, I might as well show you guys results and how I play these slates. And the one thing about DGF is we're always teaching people how to become better DFS players. So, why not show you my own lineups and show you how I implement my process for both cash, GPPs, medium-sized GPPs, large GPPs, small GPPs, all that good stuff. And that way, if you guys keep watching our videos, then hopefully you get better. And again, take your next step up in terms of DFS at dgfantasy.com. We teach you everything that you need to know, give you our favorite leverage plays, cash plays, every single slate. And if you were a part of the DGF community, your lineup should have looked very similar to the one here on the very far left in terms of cash. So just looking at these scores, I can tell you right now that the cash did not hit. The chalk did not hit. 271 was my cash lineup, and these were my other 3 GPP options, and they should outperform your cash if you played them correctly, which I did play them correctly. I played a 3 max. Neither one of these lineups did go off, obviously. I did end up losing a little bit of money here in NBA just because I didn't get different enough in the bigger GPPs. But regardless, I played the slate correctly and the chalk did not hit. So let's go over my chalk lineup. For a cash chalk lineup, you need to have very high owned players, period, right? So this wasn't my lineup. This one was. I was looking at another Sharks lineup. So just to kind of recap here and taking a look here at the percentage ownership, Doncic at 89%. Yes, he busted, and I had a 100% exposure to Luka even in my GPPs, which is the reason I did not do well. Should have went Steph over Doncic in a couple of the lineups, but I decided to get different in other spots because I thought that would give me more of an edge. It did somewhat. But again, if I would have full faded Luka, I would have probably done a lot better. Bradley Beal at 30.8%. Again, very high owned. Kuzma, 56%. Very high owned. Keldon Johnson, I believe, was my lowest owned at 22%, which is actually the reason why I did not cash. He got in foul trouble yet again early on in the game and obviously fell short there at 23.75 points. If he would have done anything, by the way, I only missed the cash on it by 2.5 points, I believe. I believe the top 40 cashed in this. Yeah, the top 40 cashed. I got 43rd with 271.25. So, not a full loss. I think my process is still pretty sound here. If Keldon Johnson stayed in the game at all, he would have easily covered his price point. Same thing with Vassell. Regardless, didn't have too bad of a game. Montrezl Harrell had 100% of exposure to, which most people should have in cash and GPPs, 97.8%. That's the highest I think I've ever seen. Vassell at 37.4, Bane 67, and Dwight Powell at 44%. Didn't really hurt me too bad. So that was my cash lineup. If you played high-owned players like I did, then you obviously played it correctly in cash. If you did not cash, it doesn't mean you did it incorrectly. Luka Doncic was the right play. 89% of people do believe that. So you did play this correctly if you still played Luka Doncic. But if you played the slate correctly, you should have done better in GPPs, which I did, just didn't take down anything. My GPP lineups consisted of Mike Conley at 21%. 21 though, that is showing my own ownership. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and open up the entries for This was the 3 max. Yeah, let's do the 3 max. Let's open up this and look at the ownerships. This was my worst performing GPP, and I couldn't load the bigger one, so I loaded the 25 cents. So yeah, Mcconnell at 9.3 was the place I got different. Same thing with Jaren Jackson. Got different in 2 different leverage spots, and obviously Mcconnell did not pull through for me, so this performed very poorly. Still cashed though, which is actually pretty crazy. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at my best performing lineup here. And this one I got different with Raul Neto, even though he was borderline cash GPP. I got different with Tate, and obviously did not perform well. So the rest of my lineup though, at Joel Embiid was also my low owned guy at 8%, 59 points. Obviously got it done for me. So I think I tried getting different with Joel Embiid and Tate, and it ended up with a low owned Raul Neto as well. So if you're playing GPPs, get different in a couple spots, 2-3 spots. And if you're playing smaller GPPs, just play your cash lineup and stick to that process, and you will be profitable over the long run. I know this is an NBA video, but just to scroll down here, I cashed in my cash build with the showdowns, got different in my GPPs. They didn't perform as well, but my cash hit, so I made a little bit of money. If you stick to that process, you'll make long-term cash. I promise you, as long as you're playing your contests, you're selecting them right, and you're playing and differentiating yourself in GPPs the correct way. All right, now let's focus on this NBA 7-game slate. We have a lot of pending injury news here to pay attention to throughout the day, similar to yesterday. Yesterday, I was kind of hoping that news would break closer to lock that would affect the entire slate, and it didn't because all the questionable guys ended up playing. So I hope there's a different story here, because for the sharper players, if you make better pivots, you utilize late swap options, then you have an edge over the field, which didn't happen last night. So hopefully tonight we get a better night. With Orlando, the same kind of injuries here. With Toronto, same injuries. Charlotte, we are pending injury news here on Terry Rozier and PJ Washington. PJ Washington is doubtful. Rozier is questionable. Doesn't really impact it too much because those two have been out for a little bit, so doesn't really impact the entirety of the slate. With Miami, it looks like Adebayo and Kyle Lowry are now probable, so those guys' price tags really aren't affected too much. With Indiana, though, we have Malcolm Brogdon officially out. We will be visiting that picture here in a bit. LeVert is questionable. I do expect him to play tonight because he was also questionable, leaning towards probable last game. He didn't end up playing, but we should see LeVert here in the first game. But still, Malcolm Brogdon out. I don't know if LeVert's going to be playing a full workload. Probably won't be. They'll probably, ease him into action here against the Brooklyn Nets. With Brooklyn, another piece of injury news that we have to pay attention to because it affects the starting lineup, and it affected a lot more than people think. Last game, Bruce Brown did get the start at power forward with Nick Claxton out. It was not Lamarcus Aldridge, it was Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown also played 35 minutes last game, so if he plays 35 minutes without Claxton again, he's going to be the most obvious value play on the slate by far. And then looking down the line here, we have nothing going on with Sacramento, nothing really going on with the Pelicans. Zion's been out for them for a little bit. And then Dallas, we have to pay attention to Porzingis because I'll be going right back to the well here with Luka Doncic. I can guarantee you he's still in a smash spot. It's just that the Spurs are the best team in the NBA. Just kidding. If you guys have watched this video for a while, if you watch this channel, you guys know I'm a Spurs fan. They still got annihilated by the Dallas Mavericks. I can't believe they only scored 99 points. Going over to Denver here, we're going and paying attention to Jokic. Jokic is questionable. I think he's more towards probable, but if Luka does sit, obviously going to affect the entire slate. With the Clippers, nothing going on. Portland, nothing going on. With Cleveland, Okoro's still out, doesn't really impact them. And then with the Lakers, LeBron James is questionable. Obviously will impact them. However, the price tags have been adjusted for both Westbrook and Anthony Davis. Not really going to be paying too much attention to them until we get that LeBron James news. So now let's go ahead and break down the slate with what we know going team by team. I'm going to pull up my notes here on the right side. What I do here for my breakdowns is I go over the most obvious plays. I cut out all the fluff. We're not going to go over every single team because some plays are just irrelevant when you take a look at the entire slate. So we're going to be going over the more obvious plays. I'm going to be condensing your player pool down a lot based on the information that we know right now. If we have any slate breaking injury news throughout the day, I will pin a post in the YouTube comment section below. Taking a look here at the Orlando Magic, I do only have interest in one single player, and that's going to be Bamba. I think he's a great center play here at $6,600. He ended up in my cash build last game to drop 37 DraftKings points in 32 minutes. He's been getting consistent starter minutes, and the center spot is a great place to differentiate yourself, specifically on the slate with so many options. So I do like him for GPP right now. He's showing 13.9%, which is relatively low. Going over to the Toronto Raptors here, we have OG. OG Anunoby has been crushing it to start the season, averaging 1.08 fantasy points per minute, 20.2%. We have him projected for 34.5 points, and just at a 6.8K price tag, a very safe and obvious play, just guaranteed minutes here in this Raptors rotation. They play a very thin rotation. They play their starters a lot of minutes. Another person that's very similar to him is going to be Gary Trent. Gary Trent has been playing a lot of minutes as well, playing 36, 36, 35 his past 3 games, and he's been shooting very well. He's been getting up plenty of shots. Shot 4 of 14 last game, 7 of 15, and again, if he hits more of his shots, then that's even better for him. But the one thing I love about all these starters is that they're guaranteed minutes. So technically, you can throw all these players into the player pool. Won't hate that. Precious Achiuwa got a price bump at $5,300, and same thing with Van Vliet. So these guys aren't as obvious, but I don't mind them for GPPs. And switching down to the Charlotte game against Miami. Charlotte, not too much interest on this side. Really nothing impacting them. I do have more interest on the Miami side. Bam Adebayo did get a price drop here at $7,800. I think he's in a very good matchup here. Projected 34 minutes at 20.8%. He just fits a lot of builds, and at $7,800, I think he's one of the more obvious cash plays, especially at the center position on the slate. Jimmy Butler, another guy that's just mispriced at $8,700 in a good matchup, has been playing consistent minutes. The one thing we have to pay attention to is Kyle Lowry. He should play. Again, he is leaning towards probable. So this should impact the usage, so I am more on Adebayo because he's not a high usage player. Kind of off Jimmy Butler unless you're playing bigger GPPs, but again, the price tag at $8,700, Jimmy's going to go out and do his thing regardless, so I don't mind him or Bam as last pieces in cash. I think you prioritize Adebayo. And then going up to the Indiana Pacers, Brooklyn Nets. This is the team that should draw a lot of the chalk. I was actually kind of surprised to see the ownership on these guys once I loaded up my computer because Brogdon is out. And I think that people are assuming that LeVert's going to play, but that hasn't been guaranteed yet. Yes, obviously, if LeVert does play, then these minutes are going to be impacted a lot more, but the usage is still being impacted by Brogdon being off the court. So I do like these guys for GPPs a lot more. I think they're sharper plays, and overall, I just like these plays here from the Pacers. Luis Duarte has been playing pretty consistent minutes here at $5,500, averaging 0.82 fantasy points per minute, which is not the greatest, but with Brogdon off the court, he should see a ceiling potential of 40 minutes, should see a floor of 35 minutes, so I do like him here at 19.7%. Guaranteed the minutes, guaranteed to be out there. He's a rookie, so they should be playing him quite early and often. Right now, we have him projected at 28.7 points. And then Sabonis. Sabonis is another somewhat obvious play, in my opinion. He is power forward eligible, which makes me like him a lot more. He should be getting a good extended run here, projected at 36 minutes. He is impacted positively without Brogdon on the court, averaging 1.38 fantasy points per minute at 9.4K. Do like him here at 10.7%. He looks to be more of a GPP play, but I would not hate it if you landed on him in cash. And then the rest of these guys are going to be GPP plays, but I don't mind them at all. Right now, we have TJ McConnell projected at 31 minutes. We have him projected over 30 points, 33.26 points. I do like his minute upside here, and somebody has to step up without Brogdon on the court in terms of scoring, and I think that man is TJ McConnell. It'll be interesting to see whether he starts or not. I don't think they're projecting him to start. Let's actually take a look together. Yeah, well, they are at point guard here. TJ McConnell, if he does start and play and handles the ball the entire game at $5,500, I feel like that's an obvious smash spot. If he's showing 9.1%, then yes, I obviously love him for GPPs. I think overall he's just a good play. Jeremy Lamb also in the mix here, projected 21 minutes, so the upside's not crazy. Just because of the minutes, but right now we have him projected for 22.47 points, and right now if we take a look at the amount of points he averages without Brogdon on the court, he's averaging 1.07 fantasy points per minute, so I do like that here at 4.7% ownership. Sorry, 7% ownership. I'm looking at Miles Turner, which is also a great GPP play. When I took a look at Miles Turner's price tag, I fell in love with it at 5.4K. I felt like he was one of the more obvious plays on the slate. And like I said earlier on in the video, there's so many center options. And if you can grab Miles Turner at 4.7% at a 5.4K price tag, I feel like that's a great smash spot here. And a good matchup against these Brooklyn bigs. So I do like Miles Turner. I feel like he's honestly one of the most obvious plays on the slate. Right now, we have him projected for 34.8 points. In terms of a point per dollar value, he's the best on the slate per our projections. So Miles Turner, if he's going to continue to be 5% owned, then sure, go ahead and sign me up. I'm going to plug and play him. Going to be overexposed to him in bigger GPPs. And I feel like that's a great place to start your builds if you are playing GPPs. And overall, I'm in love with the Pacers just in terms of their value, and I really like their ownerships if they're going to continue to see lower ownership. Switching over to the Brooklyn Nets, I talked about Bruce Brown. If he does start, we've yet to see if Claxton is not going to play. If he does play, then yes, we're going to be off of Bruce Brown a little bit more. Right now, he's showing the highest owned. I don't know if that's taking into consideration that Claxton's playing or not. Regardless, Bruce Brown's going to be an okay play at $3,800. If Claxton does sit, then yes, he's going to be mega chalk. James Harden's another mispriced guy here at $9,600, 25.1%. He just fits a lot of builds, and I do like him here in the spot against the Pacers. Very good matchup for him. 35 projected minutes. did get a price drop from 10K, so I think that's why he's drawing so much chalk at 25.1%. And then you can also throw Kevin Durant in the same sentence with James Harden. Obviously, Kevin Durant's a better player in terms of fantasy points per minute, so at 14.5%. Don't mind either one, but I do prefer James Harden in cash. One guy that just keeps projecting well in terms of our models is going to be Lamarcus Aldridge. I know he's not going to probably get the minutes, but if he plays 23 minutes, then yes, I do love him here at 4K. He's averaging 1.07 fantasy points per minute since playing with Brooklyn. The thing is, he's just not guaranteed minutes, and the Nets have looked better with Bruce Brown starting. So, you know, I will only like Lamarcus Aldridge if he is starting and playing over 20 minutes. And honestly, the most obvious plays come from those first 3 games, but there's a lot more one-offs to focus on here as we go later on in the slate here with Sacramento. Rashawn Holmes is mispriced at $5,800. He actually almost got me a takedown GBP 2 nights ago, as you guys saw. 19.9%. I do think he's an obvious play just at that price tag. Like I said, there's so many center options, so I do think that his ownership is going to continue to go down here. Projected 29 minutes. He played over 30 against Golden State, so I expect him to play between 28 and 32 minutes here in this matchup. And then last but not least, we can go all the way down here to the Clippers with Nick Batum. He's probably one of the more obvious value plays on the slate. Injury news isn't really impacting him. He's getting 32 minutes. He's averaging 0.81 fantasy points per minute here without Kawhi Leonard on the court to start the season. We have him projected for 25.11 points here and a 6.3 point per dollar value. So I don't mind Nick Batum here. I think he's an obvious value play. There's not too many value plays to look at other than Bruce Brown. So I think that's why Nicholas Batum is carrying a decent amount of ownership. And that will be it, guys. Those were the most obvious plays as of right now. Like I said, there's a lot of pending injury news. I will pen a post in the YouTube comment section like I did yesterday if we do get more injury news a little bit closer to lock. Also, we will be going live around 5:30 EST to grab those updated injury reports, ownership, and all that good stuff. So feel free to join this, guys. And obviously, if you want to sign up for our website, feel free to do that. We'll be posting our favorite cores, GPP plays, all that good stuff, including ownership projections, actual projections, and everything that comes with our projections. And that will be my breakdown, guys. Hopefully, you did enjoy this breakdown. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.